Hi everyone, I'd like to talk to you about the new BBFC guidelines. The classification guidelines from the British Board of Film Classification that have been rejigged recently from the 1st of May 2024. Do I agree with them? No, I think this is all getting rather politicised. I don't think they're protecting parents as much as they should do. To be honest, I think the Internet Movie Database and the Parents Guide on there is far more useful to me as a parent of a 7-year-old than what BBFC put out, because things get skewed. Things seem to be getting skewed. This new classification guideline is all about them. And we've had a focus group and we've consulted 12,000 people. I think I've filled out some form along the way about what I think is a cinema and media user. But I was listening to a podcast from BBFC, and one, they just wanted to, at the beginning, mention that, we went to a launch and Natasha Kaplinski, our president, was there, and just basically kissing her rear end, and that titan of the film world, Natasha Kaplinski, is the president of BBFC. Kind of sums things up. Yes, she had a very successful media career. Yes, bit of dancing on Strictly that I don't watch because I think it's an awful TV program. And she's now, president of BBFC. So in a nutshell, they've brought out they've done this study, and it was all about the teens and the teen experience. Now, when I was a teenager, you wanted to watch the most adult film you could. So when you're 14, 15 and you're watching an 18, it's like, get in. And how life changes to when you're a parent. So I'm going to go through each classification subject one. They've produced some guides. And violence is an interesting one. I am an action film fan, and I think that there's not much. There's a cigarette paper between 12A. We're going to talk about cinema ratings. So there's 12 and 12A. 12's for cinema, 12A's for cinema, 12's for home. I'm going to call it home video, but home entertainment. There's not much between it. I think about 15. I recently went to see Civil War, and I thought it was horrendously violent. I really did. But it's a 15 because I'm reading the guide and seeing it says the strongest gory images may occur if justified by context. For example, war. Well, there were some horrible scenes of war torture, and I thought it should have been an 18. Sorry, it was very, very graphic portrayal of violence, and I want to take the context out of all of this. What you see is what you see. I found some of the scenes in Civil War kind of wow, and I'm extremely broad-minded about these things. But 18 now is more about violent or dangerous acts, illegal drug use. So you probably could get an old Jackie Chan film because it's got dangerous acts, i.e. some ridiculous stunts, still being an 18, and something like Civil War was far more graphic, enormously more graphic violence, slipping in as a 15. It is strange, some of these guidelines. Discrimination, I think they should take a zero tolerance to it, and I do agree. Discrimination should be for 15s and over. My rule of thumb would be, if it's acceptable to be used in a school setting, up to people at 16, and to be honest, I don't know why it's 15. I prefer the certificate to be 16 and 18, young adults and adults. But that's just me. But again, it's in the context. One thing they are clamping down on is discriminatory language such as son of a bitch. Well, don't watch Smoking in the Bandit, you son of a bitch. With the old Smokey in it. Right, this is the big one that annoys me. Drugs and what they're saying about that. they used this. The first one of the first films that was rated under this sequence was One Love, a Bob Marley biopic. I've not seen it, but I believe it's got a lot of cannabis use in it. I'm really against cannabis. I've seen it ruin people's lives. I've seen it affect people's physical and mental health. I'm very much against this dumbing down. Oh, it's only cannabis. No, it's a pretty evil drug. And they're openly using drugs in this, I believe. And the BBFC on a podcast, they say, well, because it's part of the Rastafarian religion, it's not misuse. And it's this kind of dumbing down and influence from certain, since certain minorities use it, we can't be seen to. No, we need to protect the children. I don't want my son, somebody smoking a great big joint, and my son watching it. Especially, it come out at the cinema as a 12A. So if when my son's 12, I don't want him going to a cinema watching somebody caning it. No. It should be 15 or older. Drug and substance misuse. If you use cannabis, you're misusing it. It's illegal, despite what these liberal BBFC types say. It really annoys me. It really does annoy me, does this? Oh, it's only cannabis. No, we should not expose our young people to glamorising cannabis. And by Bob Marley, a very, very successful rock star using cannabis, to me, that's glamorising it. Again, if you disagree, I've put my views about BBFC on social media and got hammered. Some guy who says, I know more about BBFC than you do. I don't care. These are my views. If you agree, please tell me. If you disagree, yeah, tell me. Threat and horror. And then again, this is the between you and PG. What may unsettle young children. Now, when I was a kid, I went to see Watership Down, and it absolutely really upset me. I would have been 4 or 5, and it's a PG. And I thought it was absolutely horrific. It's a horrific film. And it was a PG. Well, it was actually a U. A U back in 1978, so it's been upped to a PG. Yeah, I think it should be a 15, to be honest, because I think it's awful. But that's just me. But threat and horror. What's threat and horror? We went to see Migration. That was quite a thrilling film. My son really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good one. But there may be scenes of moderate physical and psychological threat, which means it could have slipped into a 12A, but it's a cartoon. And it's this balance. I don't think it should have been a 12. I think PG was fine for it. Was it PG? Let me look it up. No, it was a U. And I was quite on the edge of my seat for Migration. I thought it was quite a thrilling film. But it was a U. Threat and scary scenes may unsettle children, should be very mild, and the outcome should be reassuring. Nah, PG with that one. Sorry. And again, 15. Maybe strong threat and horror. A sustained focus on sadistic threat is unlikely to be acceptable. The film Men I watched recently and I reviewed on this channel. What was that? Remind myself. Now that was a 15. And I thought it was some of the most grim body horror I've seen since The Thing. And it's a 15. Adults, there may be strong threat and horror. 2, you must be joking. And again, it just befuddles me what's slipping through let's say classification. Threaten our language. This is the one I've got a big problem with, especially after No Time to Die. The awful previous Bond film, James Bond Will Return. It's 12A, and M drops the F-bomb, and this is what I've had a big rows with people on social media. I think any film with the F-bomb should be at least a 15. There may be moderate bad language. Strong language may be permitted depending on context and frequency within the context of the whole. And again, it says, for example, in frequency of the use of strong language, the F word is permitted in a 12A, 12 feature film, but less than a TV episode. Well, why? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I would prefer it if it's acceptable. The F word is acceptable in the workplace, under the right circumstances, but not in schools. So I think they've got this completely wrong. I think they, focus groups with young people, getting down with the kids, and this podcast was very much like that. It was more about, than 12,000 people. We've never consulted that many people before, rather than the actual end result of this. So they're slapping themselves on the back by having this. Right, suicide and self-harm. No. It's a very, very, very grown-up subject. I was thinking about taking my son to see The Fall Guy, and the thing that's put me off, again, Internet Movie Database, says referrals to suicide. I don't want to expose my son to language like that. Even if he was 12, 13, I think it's an adult subject. See, 12A, portrayals of suicide and self-harm should only be brief and discreet. That's not for 12-year-olds. Sorry, I know society's changing. Crazy. I'm speechless about these guideline changes. Nudity. Nudity. Right. A U, there may be occasional nudity with no sexual contact. In a U. PG, there may be nudity with no sexual consent. 12A, there may be nudity, but in a sexual consent, it should be brief and discreet. And that's the thing, that 12A is misleading. I think they should either be 12 a PG. The 12A is a cop-out for the Hollywood studios, in my opinion. Well, it's not a PG. We don't want it a 15. Slap a 12A on it so families can go and watch it. Crazy. I think a quick bit of toplessness or a bum being shown, a 15, and anything else definitely an 18. Any bits of the bits that work, no. And sex. Universal. There may be mild sexual references or sexual behaviour. For example, kissing. Is kissing really a sexual? I don't know. It's PG. Sexual activity may be implied. Now, to me, most of the classic Bond films is the PG kind of rolling around, Roger Moore rolling around, complete, no hint of nudity. That's the PG to me. 12A, moderate sexy references are permitted. Yeah, I think unless you saw people at it. And to be honest, there's one or two films I believe slip through the net over these where there's people actually having sex. No, it should only be acted. Even at 18, it shouldn't. Yeah, it's a funny one. It really is. And sexual violence. This is the one I would support. Strong certification on. certain challenging themes, for example, suicide, substance addiction, sexual violence, are likely to be appropriate for you and PG. Well said. So it's the same for PG. So 12, again, 12. There may be verbal reference to sexual violence, but not graphic. Stronger forms of sexual violence, including rape, may only be implied. Now, Diamonds Are Forever slips in this category because when Sean Connery, for that millisecond, strangles Marie at the beginning with a bikini, that's sexual violence. So, by all means, I couldn't take my son to see Diamonds Are Forever, and I told you about it on the channel a couple of years ago because it was supposed to be a 12A, but View certified it as a 12, which of course is form video only. 15. There may be detailed verbal reference to sexual violence or abusive behaviour. Stronger forms of sexual violence, including rape, must not be detailed or prolonged. So again, it's 15. Should it be 16? Under the old system, AA was 14. And 18 is suitable for adults. And yeah, I totally agree. Adults should be free to choose their own entertainment. I don't think enough films are 18. I think too many. And this is why somebody had a right go at me. I do think BBFC are leaned upon by the studios. I don't think they're objective enough. I don't think they look at it from a parent's eyes. I think the whole system's a mess, especially 18's 18. I have no problems with a film being 18. Some films that weren't 18, some whole Jackie Chan films because of the violence. It's more stunts than violence, and yeah, I still won't let my son watch it. Let him watch Police Story. Let's all remind myself what Jackie Chan Police. So that's a 15. No idea what, it's always been a 15. I would have no problem letting my son watch that. It is kind of cartoon violence. It's not extreme. It's not prolonged. It's bloody dangerous, but it's stunt work. To me, the stunts aren't any much different than when I see a circus show. It really isn't. 18's 18. It's his 15, 12A. Again, a couple of movies I've seen recently, Civil War and Men, were both 15s. How on earth weren't they 18s, in my opinion? As I said, I've reviewed them both on this channel. I'm extremely broad-minded. I've probably seen everything you can legally on films, from uncensored versions of The Human Centipede to lots of horror films, action films. Personally, I thought these were very shocking, even to my mature, desensitised palate. They should have been 18. The one scene in Civil War where very briefly a bloke is burnt to death, and it is absolutely horrific, but it's in the war context. It's still the image. It befuddles me how they talk about context, and I really don't know. Men. A bloke gives birth to a version of himself. It's horrible. It's kind of like, oh, look away. The Thing levels of stomach churning. But it's a 15. I just think they're getting it completely. These classifications completely wrong. And my first protocol is Internet Movie Database Parents Guide. I think it's far more detailed. All right, they might get the odd spoiler in there. But let's look. So migration. I don't think they give enough. Threat and horror, 1 for migration. There's cartoon characters being captured to be eaten, and it's pretty like wow, that's yeah. I really. Let's see what they say about Civil War. Civil War. Here we go. Violence. Scenes include gunfights, executions, people being set on fire, and implied torture. Well, not really implied torture. There's also instances of racist violence. But it's 4 out of 5. Threat and horror. Language. There's use of strong language, F, mother F, and milder terms, including bullshit, mild middle finger gestures. I don't know. Injury details, dangerous bit. Now, alcohol and tobacco, people drink or smoke. Well, you can walk past any pub, and there's people outside drinking or smoking. Bizarre. So there you go, there's my take on the new BBFC regime. I totally disagree with what they're doing. I think they're trying to dumb it down. I think they've got a political agenda, and I do think they are influenced by Hollywood studios. It should be 15, but go on, we'll make it a 12A. And on the flip side, that should be an 18, but let's make it a 15, like Civil War, which is not a big studio film. They're not erring on the side of caution enough. The BBFC Insight isn't near as detailed as the Internet Movie Database. So yeah, I take the ratings with a pinch of salt, and unless I'm going to something that is a family film like Migration, if I was to take him to, say a new Indiana Jones film come out and he wanted to see it, I would look on IMDb first and BBFC, and I just think this whole exercise has been more about, we've done a consultation, don't we feel good about it? We've spoken to lots of young people who've done the survey in their home homes, because it's a safe space for them, and it's all about mollycoddling and all, rather than the stark reality of protecting your children. I think this should have been far more parent-led. Any teenager under 18 is likely to want to watch an 18. They just seem to have completely missed the point. So if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, please tell me. Even some guy goes on Facebook, I commented very similar on the BBFC Facebook page, and some chap goes, I know more about the BBFC than you. Good on you. I don't care. These are my views as a parent, as somebody who's been watching films for 45, 46 years, been going to the cinema. Society does change. I remember when the video nasty issue was a challenge. I remember when the Video Recordings Act came in. Hungerford, that clamped down a lot of guns in films. Rambo 3 being an 18. And again, BBC were erring on the side of caution, and they just don't seem to do it. And I don't think they're showing any maturity. What on earth Natasha Kaplinsky is? What on earth she got to do with the film industry? Yes, she's on a bit of a TV newsreader, but I don't know. She probably has very little to say in this. But the podcast is quite interesting because they just want to go, Natasha was there. And yeah. So there you go. There's my ramblings about the new BBFC classification guidelines. I'll see you at the cinema.